1, 2.
Welcome back, kids. It's so great to be able to continue to celebrate in this way with you. Tonight, I've just finished lighting our second Advent candle. Our first Advent candle was the candle of peace, and it's a candle that we light with the hope that we'll be able to find peace as we wait for the coming of Jesus. And the second candle that we lit this year was to represent the hope of Jesus' coming, the hope of a time when we're not going to have to meet like this, a hope for a time when we'll be able to all come back to church together, and a hope for a time when Jesus will come into our lives to help us find our tomorrows and to offer us the forgiveness for the things that we've done that is wrong. And so this is an important season to the church. Last week we read the story of the Grinch, but this week I wanted to actually read you a story of the Christmas Carol, the same story that we've been talking about with your moms and dads in our worship services. And so this week we'll be looking at one of my favorite versions of a Christmas Carol, which is Mickey's Christmas Carol. And so I am going to ask for a little bit of help as I read through this today. Let me see if I can get my digital assistant. Okay, Google, let's read along with Disney.
Okay, I love a good book. What's the title of the book you want to read?
Mickey's Christmas Carol. And here we go. Mickey's Christmas Carol. Poor Bob Cratchit. Mr. Scrooge had made him work late again, even though it was Christmas Eve. But now at last he could go home. "Merry Christmas!" he called. "Christmas? Bah!" shouted Scrooge. "Don't forget to take my laundry." Bob lugged the heavy laundry bag through the icy streets. He stopped once to rest, but only for a moment. And when he thought about his family waiting for him, he picked up the bundle and trudged on. "It's Papa!" cried Tiny Tim joyfully as Bob struggled through the door. "Dinner will be ready soon, dear," said Mrs. Cratchit, putting some scraps into a pan. "I do wish Mr. Scrooge would pay you more. He certainly has enough money." But Scrooge never thought that he had enough money. And that night, as always, he had stayed late at the office to count his gold coins. His nephew Fred arrived. He said, "Out of my way, boy!" shouted Scrooge. "You know I can't eat that stuff." "Give a penny for the poor?" asked a man out on the street. "Give that to the poor!" said Scrooge angrily, shoving the wreath over the man's head. "After this Christmas fuss," muttered Scrooge as he walked. "Bah! Humbug!" He thought of his dead partner, Jacob Marley. "Marley never gave anything away," he said. "He was my kind of man." And as soon as he was home, Scrooge sank into his favorite chair, and he was then dozing off when clank, clank, clank. Scrooge sat up with a start. The ghost of Jacob Marley was coming towards him, slowly dragging long, heavy chains. "I must carry these chains through eternity," moaned Marley, "because I was selfish. Your punishment will be the same, Ebenezer Scrooge." "No," said Scrooge. "It can't be. Help me, Jacob." "Tonight," said Marley, 3 spirits will visit you. Listen to them, or your chains will be even heavier than mine." The ghost vanished. Scrooge blinked and shook his head. "I need rest. Imagine thinking I saw old Marley." He climbed into bed, and he had barely fallen asleep when the alarm clock jangled. Scrooge opened his eyes and he saw the dapper little fellow standing at his nightstand. "I'm the ghost of Christmas past," he said. And the ghost held out his hand. "Hold on," said the ghost. "I'll take you to a Christmas of long ago." And Scrooge felt himself drift towards the ceiling. "Oh, oh, oh!" he shouted as they sailed out the window. They flew across the night sky and landed near a house filled with music and cheerful voices. And Scrooge looked in a window. He gasped. Why, that's me," he said. "When I was young, and there's old Fezziwig. He gave me my first job, and there's the lovely Isabel." "See how happy you were then, Scrooge?" said the ghost. "You were full of love, but then you grew greedy and lost all of your friends, even Isabel." Scrooge turned away. "I don't want to see any more. Please, Spirit, take me home." Ring, 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 ring. The alarm clock was striking again, and Scrooge opened his eyes. "I must have been dreaming," he said. "Fee-fi-fo-fum," boomed a voice. Across the room, a giant was sitting in Scrooge's chair, surrounded by bowls and platters of luscious-looking food. "What's all this?" demanded Scrooge. "It's the food of generosity," said the giant. "Something that you know nothing about. I'm the ghost of Christmas present. Come and see what's happening tonight." And he picked Scrooge up and he dropped him into his deep pocket. Outside, the giant set Scrooge down in front of a tiny, tumble-down house. Scrooge peered through a cracked window. "Why, it's the Cratchits," he said. "What a measly dinner they're having. Why aren't they eating the food that's bubbling in the pot?" "That's your laundry," said the giant. "You're boiling it to make it extra clean." "What's wrong with the lad?" said Scrooge. "Tiny Tim is very ill," said the giant. "He needs good food to make him strong and well. Pay his father more so that he can buy his family enough to eat." And then the giant's voice faded, and he was gone. Scrooge tried to call the giant back, but there was too late. Suddenly, he was surrounded by thick clouds of smoke. And when the air cleared, he was standing near a broken-down tombstone in a shadowy graveyard. "Hello, Scrooge," said a voice behind him. "I'm the ghost of Christmas future." Scrooge turned to the ghost. "Whose lonely grave is this?" he asked. "See for yourself," said the ghost. "It belongs to a man who was very rich, but was so selfish and unkind that he had no friends." Scrooge bent down and read the name on the stone. "Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh no, this is my grave." "That's right, Ebenezer." He laughed as the ghost said it. "No, please," begged Scrooge. "I don't want to die alone. I don't want to die with no friends. I'll change my ways, I promise." "I'll change." And Scrooge's eyes flew open. He was in his own bed again, and he was still alive, and there was still time to change, time to make a new beginning. "It's Christmas morning," he cried, and he dressed quickly and rushed outside. "Take these, take it all," he called, tossing bags of money to the men collecting for the poor. "Hello, Fred," he shouted when he saw his nephew. "May I still come to dinner?" replied Fred, surprised. "Splendid, I'll see you later. There's something I must do first." And while later, Scrooge knocked at Bob Cratchit's door. "Merry Christmas," Scrooge said happily. "I have another bundle for you." "More laundry, sir?" Scrooge laughed. "Don't be silly, my boy." "Look, Papa," cried Tiny Tim, opening the sack. "Toys!" "Friends are worth more than all the gold in the world," said Scrooge. Cratchit, from now on, you and your family will have all the good food and warm clothes that you need. Merry Christmas, my friends. And God bless us, everyone, shouted Tiny Tim. The end. The story of Ebenezer Scrooge is a story where God offers someone a new chance and offers them forgiveness. And you and I have surely had our moments where we have not been good. We could have acted better. We could have been more polite. We could have helped our parents more and done the things that they ask us to do. We could have been friendlier to those that we pick on. And so it's times like this that we're reminded how we too are like Ebenezer Scrooge and we too need a second chance. And that's exactly why God sent his only son into this world. He sent Jesus to be born of Mary and Joseph, to come into this world and to teach to us and to offer us that second chance. And so tonight as we go to bed, might our prayers that we offer to God be prayers of thanks, for we know that God has already offered us Jesus Christ, and that out of love he gives us this gift. So let us go to God in prayer. Gracious God, we thank you this evening for the stories that tell us of the love and the redemption that God offers to us, the grace that God has for us. Guide our hearts and our minds that as we are confronted with choices that we make in our life, that we might make good choices, that we might live to the best of our ability, that we might hold love for all people, and that we might be like Tiny Tim and recognize that God has blessed us, everyone. Amen. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys next week. Amen.
Check 1, 2.